welcome to the Super 73. So this is a Life Unlocked review of the Super 73 S2 that I've had for a week or so now. We're going to talk about unboxing, we're going to talk about first impressions, we're going to talk about the first ride, we're going to talk about a reality check, and we're going to talk about final conclusions. So I know there have been lots of issues with shipments and ordering of the bike, but I think I just got lucky. After weeks of procrastination around buying, I actually bought from a UK dealer called Ride & Glide, and 1 week later the bike actually turned up. Now, it comes in a box that's pretty much fully assembled, and it's huge, and I mean really huge. I don't actually think the pictures on the website really convey how big this is and how big the tyres are. It's pretty much like having a full-size motorbike. Now, it took me about 30 minutes to have everything connected up and the battery charging, so no issues at all here. Who would have thought it? My bike's got keys. So, first impressions. First things first, this bike is huge, and I mean seriously huge. The tyres are motorbike sized tyres. I think the diameter might be a little bit smaller, but it has that motorbike presence to it. So when you're riding around, people are going to see, they're going to notice that you're on something that's big and hefty. Now, the other thing on the first impressions is there's no throttle on this. This is the UK version, or the European version of the Super 73, which doesn't come with throttle. It's illegal to be using a throttle on these bikes in the EU. So what you get instead is pedal assistance. Now, subconsciously, I think I already knew this, but it was a bit of a shock when I got the bike to recall that I don't actually have that thumb throttle on this bike. So what does pedal assistance mean in the EU? Well, actually what it means is you've got pedal assistance up to a maximum motor output of 15.5 miles per hour or 25 kilometers per hour. But what does that actually really mean when you're riding the bike? Well, there are 4 different settings that come with this on the controller that you can move through. So you can have 0 pedal assist, which these all come with 10 gears at the rear here, which actually allows you to just basically treat this as you would for any other very heavy normal bike. So if you ever get stranded anywhere where the battery gives up, then you'll be able to pedal back, you'll be able to go up hills, etc. without any issues at all. Then there's 3 other levels, 1, 2, 3, 4, that you can proceed through, and each one of the levels gives you increased power support with your pedaling. Now, the reality is I'm not really sure why you have those other than battery preservation, if that's what you were interested in. I notch mine straight up to level 4 assist, which means you've got maximum assistance whilst you're riding the bike. Again, what does that mean? It means the motor will support you and give you that extra push up to a maximum of 15.5 miles per hour. Now, that might all sound a little bit constrained, but actually when you're riding the bike, certainly on the flat, that 15.5 miles per hour motor output, if you're pedaling as well, and I'm talking about a gentle pedal, then you're really going to get yourself well up to just under probably 20 miles an hour. So the pro to the pedal assist is that it actually feels quite comfortable pedaling. It seems quite natural to be moving your legs on this bike as you're moving along. And actually, when I say pedal, it really is a light touch, especially on the flat where you can be pedaling very gently, put it in 10th gear, very gentle pedal, and you're easily doing 20 miles an hour on the flat, which is absolutely fantastic, and that's the main reason why I bought this bike. The negative of this, of not having a throttle, means you can't sit back and be lazy whilst you're riding the bike, but it doesn't actually seem to be that much of a problem for me, and you can't miss what you never had, right? So the controller here is actually pretty straightforward to use. Once you've turned the power on the battery, you get various different settings which are available for you to click through. So you've got the range that's left in the battery, so I've got 26 miles left in this. I can flick over and see the cadence that I'm actually pedaling at to assist with. You've got the power output from the battery itself. You've got the power assistance level, so level 0 is no assistance at all. On the 1, 2, 3 and 4, which is your maximum output. And then you've got the total miles that you've travelled on the bike since you've got it. So you can see 21 miles already on this, and it's only the 5th ride that I've actually been on. So that's fairly easy, and then you've got miles per hour speed output there that you can monitor, as well as a fairly annoying horn. So let's talk about the first couple of rides that I had on this. So the first ride I was actually pretty nervous of the tyres, nervous as to how the bike might corner. I took a drive through town, or a cruise through town, and I was a little bit reserved really in terms of riding it. I had a couple of rides with my son Ben, who sat in front of me. He's 7 years old, so this is a two-seater, so he was able to sit in front of me. He actually pedalled for a lot of it. I've got some of these pegs that sit on the back, which allow me to sit back while he's riding on the front, and that's all pretty chilled, and he actually loved doing that, so that's another great plus as to why I got the bike. My fourth and fifth rides for this have been a lot more focused on me just enjoying the bike. You'll see on the video I took a good loop around, doing an average of probably 18-19 miles an hour on the roads, on the towpaths, on the cycle lanes, all really great fun. And in order to film this, I've gone on what is a normal 5-mile loop for us when we're walking the dog, and I've absolutely loved riding this off-road. The suspension's great on the front, masses of fun, really enjoying it, really smooth. So let's talk about the potential negatives that people might see with this bike. So the first one is the actual speed limit itself, or rather the power output limit that you're going to get as a result. It's quite frustrating watching YouTube videos of people in the States taking this to 23, 24 miles per hour with a throttle. Again, being disciplined and careful in their riding and actually being able to take it up to those speed limits. It's a bit of a shame that you're riding something that's capable of going up to those speeds and not really being able to do yourself. The other thing with a speed limit is at 15.5 miles per hour max speed output, what you're actually doing with that is limiting the motor output. So when you're going uphill, you're not going to hit 15.5 miles per hour. There's a reality here. This is a very big, heavy bike with a heavy person sat on top being pushed up a hill, and therefore the motor will max out and your speed will drop down depending on the gradient of the hill. Now there's a hill near me which is a great test of riding, where I'm doing 9 miles per hour up that hill. It's okay, but probably slightly disappointing that there isn't more dynamic power output in order to keep you maintained at that 15 miles per hour whilst on the road. The other thing that I must repeat about this is the size. So this is not a normal push bike, a normal pedal bike. This is going to need space, so you'll see from the photographs that I've wedged this into the garage that I've got at the moment. It's not going to go and hang on a bike rack. It's going to have to sit there like a motorbike with the leg out, holding it up next to the charger, and that's how you're going to have to keep it and look after it. So let's talk about ancillary experiences with the bike that are worth mentioning. So after receiving the bike, I tried to register it online with the Super73 European website. Once filling all the details in, I got a message coming up saying thank you for submitting. A day later, I tried to download the app for the Super73, which has the potential of opening up different modes, which may allow me in the EU, in the UK, to go a little bit faster. I don't know that yet until I've tried it and I can't find any material. Now, the app recognises that the bike is there, it picks it up. When I click to then register that bike or connect that bike with the app, the error message that comes up is that the bike is not registered. There's an error message, 404, error message, bike not registered. So I've actually raised a ticket with Super73 Europe. Not sure what's going to happen there, but we'll see. The other issue is that there are 3 cables that are spare, or 3 connections that are spare on here, and there's no instruction in the manual. There's no instruction on the website that tells you what they are. I don't know whether I should cover them over in case it rains. No idea, so I've just tied them up and connected them here at the front. Hopefully they'll be okay. The other issue worth mentioning is the actual cable management at the front of the bike here. It's a little bit messy, the way it's structured. Now, I've looked online and I can see that some people have worked hard to try and tidy up that cable situation, but I'd have thought straight out of the box, straight from manufacturing, there'd be a nice cool way in that those cables will be managed. So it just looked a little bit scruffy. Maybe that's just first impressions for me, but it's just something to be mindful of. So final conclusions on first impressions. Absolutely love this bike. It rides really smooth. It's really different than any other bike I've ever ridden before. The lack of throttle and the 15.5 miles per hour speed limit, really, in terms of motor assistance, is a little bit disappointing and a little bit frustrating. I was hoping that I'd be able to eke out a little bit more power than that. Maybe with the app enabled on this bike I might be able to do that, certainly on the off-road, which will be a little bit more fun, but it's not a deal breaker. I think what I'll be able to do on my commutes to work will be probably do 18-19 miles per hour with the pedal assist in place, which will be more than enough for me, and I'll be super pleased with that. The 2-up riding on this with my son as well for nipping out for a game of football or taking the skateboards down to the park, is exactly why we bought this in the first place.